Hi guys, welcome back. Today I think I'm gonna film a kind of casual style video. I'm a bit exhausted, to be honest. I started writing my PhD thesis in biochemistry, so I started really the writing process um, last month, end of last month, and I also spent the whole day preparing my results parts, and I'm a bit overwhelmed and a bit brain dead, but I really wanted to film something, and I want to film this challenge that Sarah from Sarah the Dreamer has created not so long ago, and I will link her video down below. It's really hilarious. It's the sorting hat challenge. So the idea is that you just pick some book characters that you like or you dislike or whatever, and you just try to sort them into houses. So I got my Ravenclaw t-shirt on. I have my Sherlock Holmes mug here with little bits of paper where I just randomly went through my shelves and just wrote whichever book character came to my mind onto this piece of paper and threw it in. So I'm just gonna draw from there and try to sort these people into Hogwarts houses. Okay, so here we go. The first one is Micah Half-Wolf. So she's the protagonist of the Monstrous graphic novel series, and that's a tough one. So she's definitely someone who is kind of ruthless and going her own way, although she actually has to do it to even survive, but to be honest, she really gives me some Slytherin vibes, so I would probably sort her into Slytherin. Next, we have Arya from Aragon. So she's an elf, and I'm only currently reading the second book from this inheritance cycle, but it's a bit cliche to just randomly put elves into Ravenclaw, but I think it does make sense. Just culturally, I think they have to kind of strive for wisdom and knowledge, and from what I get from her so far, she would definitely be a Ravenclaw, but we'll see how the story goes. Okay, we have Lucy Pevensey from the Chronicles of Narnia. Okay, for me, Lucy is just the ultimate Gryffindor. She has to be a Gryffindor. She is the youngest of a group of 4 siblings, and she is actually the one who discovers the entrance to Narnia. So she's someone who really just goes there if she wants something and is very brave and courageous, so she has to be a Gryffindor. Next we have John Watson, from the character from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who is a companion of Sherlock Holmes. I think his main character trait is definitely that he's very loyal to Sherlock Holmes, and he always tries very hard to understand what Holmes is on about, what he's discovered, and he might have problems following Sherlock, but he is always there for him, and he's also the one that's there for when things get rough. Actually, I think Sherlock also doesn't like to get his hands too dirty, so he would kind of be something between a Gryffindor and a Hufflepuff, but I think in the end I would put him into Hufflepuff. Now we have Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. That's a tough one. So she's definitely someone who's well spoken, and she is not scared to say what she thinks, and especially, you know, within the society in which she lived, she dared things in terms of like societal structures that not everyone would in her place. Yeah, she's also really very, very nice to her sisters, and I don't know, it just comes out of my gut, but I think she's a Gryffindor. Let me know definitely for all of these if somehow you don't agree. I would love to know what your take is on all of these characters. Next we have Mr. Stevens, the butler from Kazuo Ishiguro's Never Let Me Go. Yeah, he is a Hufflepuff. He is just this very, I don't know, this very fair and nice person. He maybe doesn't question things too much, that he should be questioning, but he is very loyal to a house, so it's like a whole other level. Although his old masters are not there anymore, he's still very loyal to the estate and the house where he works. So yeah, he's definitely a Hufflepuff. Hercule Poirot, the famous detective created by Agatha Christie. I mean, he goes on and on about his little grey cells, right? But he also has this really soft side. And that's, I think, why so many people like him. He can be like really harsh and just only think about the outcome of the case or whatever. But he is also very comforting sometimes, and he's also someone who is kind of bending his own rules if he has a connection with victims or even actually like perpetrators. I mean, he's definitely not a Gryffindor. He just doesn't like to get his feet wet like at any point. Yeah, he's a Ravenpuff probably. It's a really hard one. I really cannot choose for him. Maybe you guys can choose. Let me know what you think. Okay. This character doesn't have a name because she's never named, and it's the narrator from Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. You know, the main reason why I love this book so much is that I could really relate to her. I know some people think she's really annoying and like she doesn't dare to do anything and she just doesn't speak up and so on, but I can really relate to her because I was like that in parts, and I think some parts of me still are like that. But I think she must be a Hufflepuff. A Hufflepuff, yeah, she's a Hufflepuff. She is someone who, in the beginning, doesn't really speak up much, but there's definitely some things that are really obviously important to her. I mean, we hear from, we're basically in her head, right, reading the book, and you can see that like integrity and loyalty and fairness are very important to her. So I think she's definitely a Hufflepuff. Why did I put this one in? It's Mrs. Dalloway from the book by the same title from Virginia Woolf. She is definitely someone who is very aware of what people think of her, and she's someone who likes to move in certain circles and to be acknowledged. And I don't think she's particularly smart. Like, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I don't know, she probably, I would probably put her into Slytherin because these are really the predominant um, things that I see in her. But she's not like the Malfoy kind of Slytherins. She's more like the, I'm calling it the Slughorn kind of Slytherin. She's still someone who has heart and who is kind of clever in her own way. But I think, having power over people and being known by people is really important to her. So for me, she's a Slytherin. Jane Eyre. I'm not cutting myself any slacks. I wrote down these things, I don't know, 5 days ago or something, because I was hoping that I would forget them, and then I didn't try to think so much in advance about where I would put these different characters. Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is a Gryffindor. She's a Gryffindor. She's very courageous, but at the same time, she is maybe a little hot-headed. If you think about like these discovery tours that she does in the castle and trying to find out, where this strange noise come from. I'm not gonna spoil her, but I think she's someone who takes initiative and wants to know what's happening, and she's very brave, so I would definitely put her in Gryffindor. Okay, Buffy Summers from the show or the graphic novels, depending how you want it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy must be... Buffy is a Gryffindor too. She's very hot-headed. She has a short temper. But she is still the archetypal heroine somehow, even though you have this darker side to her. I think that's still her main trait, otherwise she wouldn't work as a main character to this series or to these books. Yeah, I think Buffy is a Gryffindor. Violet Baudelaire from A Series of Unfortunate Events. Violet for me is the archetypal Ravenclaw. I think that's why I love her character so much. She's someone who is really creative, and creative in a way that gets her and her siblings out of trouble in very dire circumstances, and I really admire people or characters like that when they can really react fast and use their wit and their knowledge to get out of the situation. So she's definitely a Ravenclaw. Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is also a tough one. He's definitely knowledgeable, though he has this tendency to be a bit overbearing, and I think he likes to have power over people. I mean, you can see it with his dynamic with John Watson. And for that reason, I think Sherlock Holmes is a Slytherin. And he does have his good moments, and but I mean, not all Slytherins are bad, right? Sorry, anyone who's Slytherin. I mean, there's different kinds of Slytherins. Like, there's different kinds of every person in the world, basically. But he still has to be Slytherin for me. Oh, we're going on with the detectives. I mean, you can clearly see a trend of the kind of characters that I remember or that I really like. We have Miss Marple, also from Agatha Christie. I would also probably put Miss Marple in Slytherin. She's probably a mix of Slytherin and Gryffindor. When you think about the situations in which she is sometimes, and like, she's really in dangerous situations, and she's this old little lady, you know, setting traps for murderers. It's like, so she's definitely someone who is probably too brave that she should actually be. But she's very lucky at the same time. But she also has this kind of dark side. She's someone who's very cynical about the world, and like, at least that's how she puts it, that through her old age she has seen so many kinds of people, and everyone is so predictable to her, and she can manipulate anyone. And that's effectively what she does when she sets these traps to unmask the murderer. Usually she's very manipulative. So for Miss Marple, probably I will have to stay with a mix of Slytherin and Gryffindor. Okay, we're coming to the end. I hope this is not getting too long. Oh, it's already too long. We have Cyril Avery. He's the main character of The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne, a book that I absolutely adore, and Cyril is just a character that will probably stay with me for a long time. He is, I don't know, you get really attached to him, and he is someone who wants to make the best out of his situation, and he wants to understand the world and be accepted. He's someone who's also very lonely. He grows up as an orphan who gets taken into parents that don't really care much about him. I think he's a Hufflepuff. He is someone who's really brave, but also has his principles, and I think in the end that's what gets him out of the whole range of crap that goes on in his life that you follow in that book. So I think he's a Hufflepuff. Okay, let's do the last one. I hope I pick a good one. Oh, okay. For the last one, it's gonna be a character that is from the Harry Potter world, but is not, like, will never have the opportunity to get sorted into Hogwarts houses, which is very sad. And it's Petunia Dursley. She's a very interesting character, and I think she's underrated, and she's not discussed enough in the books, for my taste at least. She is someone who is a bit controlling, I would say, and is also very aware of what people think of her. She can be a bit obsessive. It's difficult because I still think that we don't get her whole character in the Harry Potter series, which is a shame. So it's a bit hard to judge her just from like the snippets of time that we follow her on in the Harry Potter books. But I still think she would fit quite well into Slytherin. What do you guys think? Let me know what you thought of this. I'm just sitting here on this very comfortable chair, and I'm just talking to the camera, talking to all of you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this, and this was also very chill for you to watch, just as chill as this was for me to film this. Yeah, thanks so much, Sarah, for tagging me. I knew right from the start that it would be really fun, and I already had lots of ideas of characters. Yeah, do let me know what your thoughts are on these characters. Would you sort them into other houses? What are your thoughts? And to finish up, I want to tag 3 people that I would like to see doing this challenge. Let's see. So it's Claudia from Spinster's Library, Jenny from Bookish Shenanigans, Taryn from her channel Taryn Watson, and Dani from Current Chapter. So if you guys feel like doing it, or actually anyone watching this, do it because it's really fun. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!